Sure, thank you. You may be seated. Well, you know, Dr. Silibano, we've got guests from the TAC,
Okay.
Treatment Action Campaign.
I know them, yes.
They're the ones who are blocking my way and greeting and hugging, I think, and they're so welcome, but they're just about to leave. That's the level of interest in what you have to say.
Thank you.
You're still under your previous oath,
I understand,
Counsel.
Justice.
Thank you, Justice. Dr. Silibano, we were in March 2016. You've already confirmed that as a result of the untruths that were in that litigation, the case succeeded for you, for the department. And it was just soon after that that then the wave of transfers took place, isn't that so? From Life Esidimeni.
That's March.
Soon after March 2016.
Soon after March. I would have thought it was around May. I don't know. May.
When the big wave began.
The big wave started.
Yes. Did you know that 2 months after you won the case to send people to Takalani that there was a typhoid outbreak at Takalani?
No, I didn't know about that.
Can I ask you to have a look at Ella 58? It's that exhibit bundle again.
This one.
It should say exhibits, and it's number 58.
I'm a bit lost. Says office file.
Somebody should help the
27.
witness, please.
Is this the one? Oh, that. Thank you very much. This one. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. I'm in page 1, Counsel. LR 58, yes.
Yes. This is your department, Health Department,
That's right.
and it's dated 19 July 2016.
19 July 2016, right?
And the purpose is to inform the Johannesburg Health District Management of the Salmonella typhoid case from Chris Hani Academic Hospital. Do you see that?
Yeah, I can see that. So that, can I just
No.
browse quickly so that I can
Go
assist
ahead.
you nicely? Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
Thank you. Now that you've read the document, you agree that this was an outbreak of typhoid that took place at Takalani,
I can see it, yes.
and that there were several patients at Takalani that were affected.
That's right. I've checked that.
And on page 3, there's reference to a Ms. Johanna Tladi,
Yes.
and who had symptoms of typhoid, And on 3rd July 2016, it says she vomited blood-stained vomit, after which she was taken back to the hospital.
That's right.
Johanna Claudi died 3 months later on 26 October 2016.
At Takalani.
Yes, and well, she was transferred to Krisani Bara from Takalani.
Okay.
She is one of the deceased whose family we represent in these proceedings. The document doesn't just highlight the cases, but it explains why the typhoid would have arisen at
Yes.
Takalani, and that's under the environmental assessment.
I've read it quickly.
You've read it?
Yeah. It's
And do you agree
terrible.
with me that this is a shocking state
It's shocking.
of
It's
Takalani?
shocking. Shocking. I mean, there was a pungent, foul smell. It's sad. People can't be kept in this type of conditions.
And it is those conditions that would give rise to something like typhoid. And typhoid is a notifiable condition.
Condition,
Isn't
yes.
that so? So it has, meaning it has an impact on public health
Yes.
if it spreads.
It spreads through water and all that, so you need to assure the public that our water doesn't have salmonella, it's salmonella typhi, and ensure that you take it out of the system.
And this was not in your knowledge? You never knew of this before now?
I know there was a typhoid outbreak in Gauteng, but I'm unable to locate this one in particular. But there was a typhoid outbreak in Gauteng.
At the same time?
I'm not good with the dates then, but there was a typhoid outbreak, and I think we located it from Hillbrow that time, and it started spreading around the province. We did an alert and get the outbreak team to go and find, we call them sources. Where is the source? Yeah.
The point is simply that Takalani was not a suitable place, would you agree, for mental health care users?
On the basis of what I read here, really it can be a good place. I mean, not enough personal space, no hand washing basins,
Yes.
pungent smell.
Yes, and that was true
It's
at the
not-
time of the March 2016 litigation.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
like I said, Counsel, these are things that you can never, with a clean conscience, defend. You can't. Well, not you, me. I can't defend them with
I'll come
the
to the
clean conscience.
NGOs in a moment. The other important thing about this case is that it emboldened the department to continue the project. Wouldn't you agree?
Agree.
And in your interview with the Ombud, then the deaths really began. It was at that point, the deaths really began. In your interview with the Ombud, which was in November 2016, correct?
That's right.
You said to him that it could have been, at that point in time, the number of deaths could have been slightly above 40. Do you remember?
Council, you meant November 2016, surely.
I'm sorry, Justice, I did mean 2016.
2016, yeah, sure.
Yes, in my discussion with the Prof, I said we spoke about the number, what number. Yesterday I did explain that
Yes.
we're working more on the parliamentary question that was
Yes.
given.
But now we're
It
talking
was
about
incorrect.
November.
I accept
Yes.
it was incorrect.
So there are a couple of things. One is, at first you say slightly above 40. But then when it's put to you by the Ombud that in fact it's about 78, you say it's probable. It's probable that it was 78.
I said that because, I mean, at that time the ombuds had done investigations, have supplied a lot of information from national, so he probably had...
He had the data, more data than you had.
More
You
data.
didn't have the data
Which
on
at
the
that
deaths.
time, yeah.
And Professor Makhoba put it to you that, do you not think it would have been useful to have that data? And for the MEC, you and the MEC, and that you should have been updated on a weekly basis? And you said yes.
Yeah, it's true.
Did you ask for that information once it came to your knowledge?
You mean around your September?
Correct.
The information, the answer is yes, I did. But the reply is what we got there, 36, 40. And that's why I considered yesterday to Justice and said, if we had a system, there was no system. And I agree.
You said there was no tracking system.
No tracking system, yes, I concede to that.
Would you agree that that means that the patients who were transferred from Life Esidimeni were not followed up afterwards?
That's correct. That would be correct.
And
looking at the circumstances and everything, no one can stand up and say, oh no, they were being followed. No, nothing shows that they were being followed.
Had they been followed up, you would have discovered the deaths sooner. Isn't that so?
If they had been followed up, we would have actually picked up some of the terrible conditions like these ones that are.
You would have been able to prevent death.
We would have been able to do our job properly that time. I agree with that.
And it's also a requirement of the plan and a requirement of good clinical practice
To do follow-up.
to do a follow-up.
Correct.
And it wasn't done.
It was not done. It's clear it was not done.
And when you began, so your concerns had registered in July and in February 2016, and then yesterday you said also in July, where in September these deaths were reported to you. Did you ask the Mental Health Directorate to verify the figures?
I'll tell you the events then. There were a flurry of meetings, lots and lots of meetings. What happened, who's this, who's that. There were a flurry of meetings. At that time, the Mental Health Directorate then, and that's why I said some of the managers, I knew them that time. Flurry of meetings, what happened, and they were reporting and reporting and reporting.
Yes,
and
but did they update you with verified numbers?
in those meetings, because they are the ground troops, you would, whatever they say, you would accept that they're giving you proper information. But it has emerged, and I'm not going to even argue about that.
But did you have any reason to doubt that you were just not getting the right information by this point in time, by September, October?
Yeah, in medicine it's called high index of suspicion. I didn't have it at that time. No one.
Not in September, October.
By that time, if I want to talk about October, by the time, that's my personal involvement now, Justice, when that happened, Council says, was the index of suspicion high? No, it was not. But it then got raised when the media and everybody else raised, and the MEC was on TVs and all that. That's when the index was high. And that's when I said, at that time, I was in communication now, directly with the minister to get into the situation.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
At that time,
Yeah.
did you ask them, your department, to verify, to provide you with source information, let me put it that way, so that you could be sure as to what the state of affairs was with this project?
Okay, personally, I didn't ask, hi, Dr. Manamela, please give me this information. What they were doing, the meetings were called by the MEC, and we were all going there, and they were reporting to the whole meeting, not to me as a person.
And you said that you took the initiative to move patients from the NGOs.
No, I didn't. Well, I did that, but like I was saying yesterday, then I was in touch with the minister, and he advised that you can't have more deaths. You need to move and remove patients. And I said, Minister, I'll do that, but I would want you also to write to the MEC so that the culture of government, like you are saying, at least the MEC knows that you are saying we must move.
And when was that?
Councillor, the dates are are muddled. I wouldn't know. I'm saying me. Dates are muddled. But that was the time when really there was an outcry that patients have demised. That was around that time. And that's when I moved. I can't pin. There was a Saturday. I could work it out. It was a Saturday. I recall it was a Saturday when I went to all these NGOs. Yeah. I don't have the actual date. If I were to go back and check, I can find the exact date.
So you decided to move the patients from the NGOs.
That's right.
And Professor Makgoba asked you, how could it be that so soon after licensing these NGOs, they were in such a bad state? And I'd like to ask you the same question. How is it that so soon after licensing, they would be in such a bad state?
Okay. Council, it is obvious that they were given licenses, and yesterday we spoke about that it is clear that some of those that were given the licenses shouldn't have had licenses that were not, I use the term fit for purpose.
Yes.
And I think that's probably what I said. And then the patients were sent there, they were overcrowded, some.
So they should not have been given license. They were improperly licensed. That's what you're saying.
They were given license. I don't want to be polemical, but I'm just saying that at the time, it is clear that the consideration was not taken for fit for purpose. They just issue a license. Because you tick a box, you say, do you have this? Yes. Do you have this? Yes. Do you have this? Yes. Do you have staff? Yes. Do you have, it's a tick box type of thing.
But why are we debating with council? I mean, the licenses were unlawfully issued.
Well, maybe at the legal, when you say unlawful,
they were not issued in accordance with the law.
I thought they were following the Mental Health Act, issuing the licenses.
Aside what you think, I mean, you know that there are the regulations prescribed.
How the license should be.
And who might be entitled to a license.
No. I know that.
What they should have, what facilities they should have, what kind of facility they should run,
Correct.
what registration they need. You know that. Aside from your personal preference as officials, the law has tried to take care of this issue. And then comes the question, in your knowledge, were these licenses issued lawfully?
In my knowledge, yes, I would say they were issued lawfully, but things went all right.
Now,
in my knowledge.
What do you know now? Are they
What
issued
I know
lawfully?
now, I'm doubtful to say really whether.
Well, let's not struggle. The person who issued them, Dr. Banamela, said then, conceded that the licenses were unlawful.
I didn't know that myself. I'm not polemical. I'm looking at the lawful, and they say we followed the law according to policy. That's why I'm unable to say whether they were unlawful.
And you know that she had no authority to issue the licenses.
I think according to the Act, the licenses or we had a discussion with the prof around that, the certificates, there was no specification as to who must give that license. The prof suggested that I should have been the one issuing the licenses.
She can only issue them if you delegate the power to her in writing. Did you delegate the power to her?
I didn't. Reason being, there has practice all throughout, even before my time, licenses were being given by junior officials. Licenses, you would call them certificates. They were being given by, so nothing said in my head, on this one you must do that, nothing. If you think, just as an addition, Justice, I wouldn't have known if they've been doing that with social development. They've been doing
You
that.
see, the much larger issue here is commitment of public officials to act in accordance with the law.
Yeah,
You get the point?
I get the point.
Parliament makes laws, or the provincial legislature, and they make regulations in an attempt to regulate and prevent harm or to advance good to the public. And officials like you ought to observe the law.
I agree.
And if the culture is we do it generally like this in the civil service, you're in effect acting contrary to the desired outcomes, to public good, which is assumed to be contained in a law or regulation.
I hear you, Justice.
Now,
But-
for you to say,
No,
I gather that I had the power, but the practice is
No.
they do it this way,
the,
worries me.
The Act doesn't prescribe that the HOD must give licenses. It doesn't. It doesn't.
Are you sure about this?
I'm sure.
We'll come back to that. Counsel, you go ahead.
Thank you, Justice. Even if you are right, which you're not, the point about licenses is that they're not simple box ticking exercises. Because the license is giving an entity, a private entity, NGOs in this case, the right to look after mental health care patients. Isn't that so?
It's fair. Yeah.
So it's quite important that all of the relevant requirements are in place as far as everything, the physical infrastructure, the staffing, the security, all of that. You would
Fair.
agree?
Yeah, fair.
So it's not just a simple license. It's not a vehicle license. It's not a dog license. It's a license that carries great significance and consequences. Do you agree?
Now that you're saying it, and now we know the history, I agree.
And when you began to close down the NGOs, did you at that point instruct the officials under you to investigate all the NGOs?
No, I didn't.
How many NGOs did you close down?
Two, that's Precious Angels and the Denville one, Sirma, and then two here in Soweto, about 5.
About 5. And what about the rest? Why did you not issue an instruction to investigate the conditions at the rest of the NGOs?
I think at that time we had enlisted the ombuds to assist.
It didn't alleviate you of your responsibilities, did it?
No, but it's not like I shunned the responsibility. The ombud at that time was conducting some...
At the same time as you were closing the NGOs?
At the same time as we agreed that I have to act quickly.
Yes. So you did act and you started to close some NGOs. Why in that same course did you not instruct your officials or you yourself investigate the other NGOs? But
I'm saying that at that time, the ombuds was already doing an investigation. If I had to do a parallel investigation, now I know that I could have done that. But at that time...
You knew that you could have done it at that time, Dr. Selivano. You did not do it.
I don't know why you say I knew. I didn't know.
Because you started to close down the NGOs. So you knew you could take action.
I don't know why you're saying that. You are creating an impression that I knew and I didn't do it deliberately. No. Please.
I'm saying that you knew that you could take action. You did indeed take action in relation to a few of the NGOs, but you did not inquire about the remainder of the NGOs. Is that correct?
There was a discussion around other NGOs.
A discussion. Did you investigate the other NGOs?
The Ombuds was investigating, so I didn't do it. The
So you
Ombuds
did not investigate the other NGOs? And did you ask the Mental Health Directorate to provide you with the audit reports of the other NGOs?
Councillor, like I was saying, at that time, during that time, there were a flurry of meetings that were held in the office, in
Well,
the
the question is
boardroom
quite
of the...
narrow, though. It's very pointed.
no.
Did you ask
I wouldn't...
for audit reports?
I wouldn't ask because they were being submitted
You could
in a
say,
meeting.
no, I did not.
No, I did not.
Have you ever seen, since then, at any point in time, those audit reports?
Until now.
Yes.
I have no access. I haven't seen them. I have no access.
Can I ask you to have a look at file 7, please?
File 7. File 7.
Let's look at Shama House, 2478, page 2478.
478. I'm at 278, yes.
2478?
Facility for clients with...
Yes. And it's dated, if you look down the page, 21 July 2016.
Right.
And if you turn over the page, the form now begins to be filled in.
That's right.
Do you see under license and subsidies on page 2480?
2480 under...
2480?
License and subsidies, yes.
Yes. That there's no license and they're not receiving subsidies.
I can see that.
And yet patients were sent there.
I didn't know that, yes. I now know it. I can see it now. It's not right. I agree.
But
At all.
you'd
At
agree
all.
that that would be incorrect? That would be unlawful?
It's completely incorrect. That guides me better to say it was unlawful.
It would be negligent to send patients to
Yes.
a facility without a license?
Yes. I agree with you. I agree with you.
Can you turn the page over to 2481?
I'm there.
Do you see the handwritten note
No training.
on
no
24?
yes.
The one above that. Clients do all the work programs for kitchen, cleaning, washing.
2481.
Yes.
The handwritten says no training, no stimulation programs.
Yes, it
Ratio
says
1
no
to 8.
training, no stimulation
That's
programs.
right,
Correct?
yes,
And
it says
above that, in that table, do you see the handwritten note?
Clients, oh yeah, on the left.
Yes.
Clients do all the work programs for kitchen. Yeah, I can see that.
Cleaning and washing.
That's awful.
It's not.
It's not right. At all.
And-
No
and-
one can. I can't. And like I've said, Justice, this happened under my watch. I didn't know. I mean, these are the operational issues that I talk about, that when you trust people that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, what they're employed to do, you don't expect them to be seeing things like this. It's very, very painful. At least for me, it's very, very heartbreaking. For
Yes.
any leader, you wonder what went
But
wrong.
what kind of project was this without a monitoring system? Tell me.
I mean, we all agree it was a bad project. And there's no way you can defend this project. Noting what happened and the consequences, it was a bad project, very bad.
But Dr. Selebano, you didn't ask to see any of this after you began closing down the NGOs. You agreed, right?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. I'm not going to take you through this. You can read it in your spare time. We've gone through it a number of times. It's quite shocking.
It's shocking.
The conditions
I
at
should
Shama
think
House.
it's going to be. It's more than shocking. They're just doing this.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I was just confirming that.
Yeah.
That's the pain.
And why
Yes.
don't you know? Why don't you know,
Yeah,
HOD?
But
It's your guys, it's your managers. Go out there and go and check ex post facto. When the patients are already there and they find horror, why didn't somebody in your structure know this and tell you about it?
the horror of this episode, a tragic event, became more apparent. This was the way I see this. It says July. It became more apparent around end of August, September. It was then that it was terrible, and it was there. So, really, if I know what you're saying, but practically, I wouldn't have picked it up in my brain that rush to this NGO, rush to this NGO. I'm not obfuscating. I'm
This
simply
was not
giving.
a project to move bricks from one place to another. This was a project of mental health care users
I agree.
being removed from where they are located with facilities that have already been put to you.
I agree.
Not perfect, but high-end, and then moved, uprooted from there to a variety of places.
There's no defense.
Why is there no tracking system? Why is there no feedback on outcomes? Why is there no target setting and searching to ensure that intended outcomes are reached? That's core to any project plan.
I hear you. I agree
Project
with
Planning 101.
I hear you, Justice, I hear you. And the whys really are more painful because when you go back, you'll say, fortunately, this type of thing must never ever happen. So it must never happen.
Council, you go ahead. I'm sure Council has many, many other examples of the horror of this project.
I can imagine.
And she rightly puts it to you,
I can
piece
imagine.
by piece.
I can imagine. I appreciate that.
Dr. Salabano, the Precious Angels audit report that I'm referring to you to is dated 28 July 2016.
That's right.
Do you agree that at that time there were already life Esidimeni users that had been placed at Precious Angels?
Yeah, they were already.
And this audit report, if you turn over the page, 2495, there's a description of the physical resources.
Okay.
And the thrust, the crux of all of this description in the physical resources is that it was woefully inadequate. It
That's
says
right.
the number of rooms available is not enough for patients, beds are too close to each other, there are not enough chairs and tables in the facility, the center has electricity but only cold running water, patient sleeping arrangements at both facilities is just random, there is no specific classification. Do you agree that this is unacceptable?
This is completely unacceptable. Completely. Like I say, Council, there's no way in a clean conscience anybody can defend this type of thing. I can't.
And in each of the pages following, in each of these blocks, these tables, there are similar findings in relation to other areas.
I'm sure it's horror after horror.
In relation to the assisted devices and equipment, general administration, in relation to stimulation therapeutic programs, that there were none. Human resource management, for example, staff are not trained in first aid techniques. And it goes on and on for pages. There's no emergency equipment. There's no cleanliness checklist.
Yeah.
And that's at 28 July 2016.
I understand, Council. I understand very well.
It was around this time that you closed Precious Angels, isn't that so? When did you close Precious Angels?
Like I'm saying, I don't know exactly. It should. I thought it would have been early September when I
Around
moved
early
in, or late
September.
August. Yeah. I just recall that it was a Saturday I went there, and then Sunday I went to close it. I'm not sure of the date.
And I need you to then answer the following question, and for that I need you to look at in your exhibit file LR 26, please. Do you- 26.
That's right.
While you have LR 26, at the same time, look at page 2397 of file 7.
Is it the same file here?
2397, the same file with the
Page
audit
23.
reports. 2397. So you're not in file 7, the one that had the audit reports.
Okay, I don't know where I put it. All right. I'm there.
You there.
Councillor?
So
Yes.
page 2397 is a license for Precious Angels,
That's right.
and it's signed on the 1st of April 2016 by Dr. Manamela.
That's right.
And if you look up a couple of paragraphs up, it says the license is valid for the period 1 April 2016 to 31 March 2017.
That's right.
Yes? And then if you look at LR 26, it's a license for Precious
Signed-
Angels.
Signed by myself now.
It's signed by you.
Yes.
And it's signed on the 1st of April 2016. Is that,
No.
you agree that you
Well,
signed
it's-
this?
It shows the date as 1 April 2016
Yes, and that
to 20 March.
the license is valid from the period April 2016 to 31 March 2017.
That's right. That's right.
Why did you sign this license?
Let me start by saying it was not signed at the same time as this one.
It's dated first day of April 2016,
Yes.
given under my hand.
Okay, yes. Okay, let me go. I signed it because we then had a discussion, and I think I signed it.
You signed it after you had the interview with the Ombud, isn't that
The
so?
ombuds, that's right.
Yes.
Yes, because
And at that point, that was November 2016.
that's right.
And you just told me that you closed Precious Angels before you had the Ombud
That's right,
interview.
yes.
So why did you sign a license for Precious Angels
Okay.
after you had closed it?
At that time, there was a discussion with the prof, if I recall, during the time that these licenses are not supposed to be signed by Manamela. They are supposed to be signed by yourself. We had a discussion around that. And as an HOD, you can regularize certain things. The only reason that I was doing this was not to
$2017. Do you
I hear
agree?
you. I agree. I regularized it.
It was unlawful.
It shouldn't have happened because the pressure was there. The one doing it yourself. So if you take the logic that it's not her who should have signed, it should have been me, then you can regularize.
You mean you went to fix and backdate?
Regularize.
It's called cooking the books,
No.
not regularizing.
I don't know. If somebody's, as an example, we pick up that there's a discrepancy in administration. Let me give a simple example. We find that we have overpaid you or underpaid you. I can regularize that. I
Provided,
can regularize it.
You know, just confront the issue that council is putting to you.
I'm saying it shouldn't have happened, and I agree that
One, it is backdated. Is that true?
Yes, I signed it in November, after I had closed it.
You
yes.
gave it a date for 1 April and signed it in November.
You can regularize that.
So no, let's forget
Okay.
the term. It's a big term. I don't know what it means.
Okay.
You backdated the license. You signed 1 April in November. Let's tick that box first.
Okay, yes.
That's
yes.
what council put to you. And then the second thing is, you, on your evidence, you had already shut down Precious Angel. All right?
Right.
How do you then go and issue a license to an entity where, in your knowledge, how did you come to do that?
The fact that I was regularizing. We can argue that it was wrong, but I was regularizing it. And I was not cooking any books. There was no underhanded intention here, nothing else.
Justice,
Counsel.
that wasn't the only license that you
Yeah.
signed. On that file 7, next to the Precious Angels license at page 2398, to see the audit report
When we issue the license, I issue the license.
So you just issue
So-
the license when people say so. But
The-
what is
these are
what
my-
I'm saying to you in
Are
this, in relation
I'm
to
sure
this?
you agree that I wouldn't be able to go to all the hospitals.
Why
private
do you issue this
hospitals.
license? I'm not asking you about the hospitals. I'm asking
No,
you
but
about this NGO.
I'm relating a slightly similar situation.
But I'm asking you not about that. I'm asking you about this NGO in the context of what you've already found, that people were dying in these NGOs.
I hear you.
You didn't ask to see the audit report to make sure that,
No, I didn't.
that all of the requirements were met before you could sign the license. You
I
didn't do that.
cancel. I did. I wish I did. Now that we are discussing it, I wish I did.
And you know that as a
I wish
matter
I
of
did.
common sense and as a matter of law, you can't regularize something that is already void.
But
was licensed or not. They were then taken out of Marabastad, taken to Lanseria.
No.
You
No,
see
it's
that?
No, it's not me. The Lanseria part is the prof who said they were taken to
Oh,
Lanseria.
it's an incorrect, there's
Yeah,
an
yeah.
error in the
No,
transcript.
It's an error in the transcript. No. It's an error in the transcript.
Can you, sorry, Dr. Salabano, because of the rain, we're going to have to raise our voices.
No, yes, I was saying it's an error in the transcript.
So it was the ombud
It is
who
the
was
prof
saying,
who said,
yes.
yes.
Nobody
not me.
knows whether it was licensed or not.
Yes.
They were taken out of Marabastad, taken to Lanseria. And then you say Lanseria, and he says, yeah, the airport. And you say, I'm not even aware of that.
Yes.
And he says, no, that's why I'm sharing this. Correct?
Yes.
And then you say, these are live Esidimeni patients? And he says, yes. And you say, this is criminal.
I'm saying that again. It's criminal.
It is criminal. It's not
criminal.
right.
It's not right.
And then if you turn over the page, page 48, around line 16, the professor continues. He says, Lanseria Airport, we do not know where in Lanseria Airport they went. And then they finally settled wherever in Centurion. Now, it is one of the instances where you ask yourself, where, how, where was the directorate when things like that were happening? And in terms of the Mental Health Care Act, how?
Yes.
Like that, basically. Is that right?
No, I was agreeable with the prof. This is, like I say, counsel, when he said that, and the reason when I said Marabastad, Victoria. Gone on about whether is this. We then held a meeting with the MEC. Do not sign. Dr. Manamela said, don't sign. do not sign, don't regularize this. I am the one who must sign these things. She was adamant. I think she even showed me some licenses that have been signed many, many years ago. So let me take responsibility. I signed
What?
justice.
To achieve what?
In my mind, I was regularizing. I was just regularizing. There was nothing cynical that I was doing.
Kanya.
Maybe if he speaks closer to,
To
the,
the mic.
microphone.
Okay, I'll try
that
hard.
might work.
Okay.
I'll put my mouth.
So I would not lightly adjourn. And those of us who have lived in Gauteng, Advocate Kraus, called civil service showers around 4 o'clock every day around this time. There is rain and it goes away very quickly.
Justice, I'm not suggesting that we should adjourn. I can't hear the witness.
Go ahead. As we know, the rain Advocate,
Sorry, Dr. Silabano, so you signed the license for Buhle Benkosi.
Yeah.
You were not sure what the number of deaths were because you were not provided with that data.
That's right.
Do you now know how many people had died by November 2016?
By November. No, the prof gave a number of around 76.
Yes. But in fact, the number was much higher. And I think it would assist if you looked at LR 57 in the exhibits
Okay.
bundle.
Good night. I've got it, Council. You said page 57.
LR 57.
Okay, LR 57. Okay.
It's the final summary on deceased life Esidimeni patients. Do you see that?
Yes, that's the one I'm having, yeah?
And if you look at page 8 of that report,
I'm there.
there's a
Council?
breakdown of deaths
Yes. I think,
per facility and per month.
yes, I think yesterday I was shown this again.
Yes.
Yes. I'm agreeable. I didn't want to argue about it.
you're agreeable with what?
That the deaths at the time in November were higher than I had
Yes.
estimated, yes.
By November 2016, According to this table, there were 108 deaths.
I didn't argue, yes.
But you didn't know in November 2016 how many deaths there were.
I explained that, and Council, you see,
It normally helps to answer the question and explain thereafter. Did you know
I didn't know.
that there were 118 deaths? You didn't know. Very well. And you may or not be asked an explanation. But you've answered the question, and you may feel you want to qualify it.
In the discussion with the ombuds in November, I specifically said, I am responding to the question, the legislature question. And at that time, the officials gave us this number. So I was specifically responding
You've
to
given
that.
counsel
It
the
is
answer.
wrong.
She has a series of questions,
Okay.
like a building blocks.
Okay.
So she has asked you, did you know? Your answer is no. You say you didn't know. Then the next question will follow.
And you've confirmed with us that you never asked for an updated list. Isn't that so?
Yes,
Of
in
deaths.
the meetings were sitting there and they were updating the whole team.
What's the answer again?
The meeting, I need your protection. The meeting, after the incident, after the tragic event, MEC was calling meetings, and the whole team was going to those meetings to give updates to the MEC and that meeting.
And were you receiving updates?
Personally.
Yes,
no,
as the
no.
head of department.
No. I was.
And did you ask for updates?
The updates, the discussions were in a broad meeting, so I didn't personally say, please give me those updates. I didn't do that.
And do you know what the impact of this rise in deaths was for the families?
Do I know what?
Do you know the impact that it had on the families?
Council, I mean, loss of a loved one is a huge impact on a family. It's a huge impact. I know that.
Especially
huge
when it's
impact.
especially when it's under unlawful circumstances.
When I was a young doctor, loss you can't. It's a painful episode for any family. I agree.
And this death was not an accident. That's what I'm saying, is that these deaths were not an accident. They occurred under unlawful circumstances. You agree?
Well, you are saying the unlawful.
Despite what we know about Ubuhle Benkosi, despite what you found out with the NGOs and closed them down,
Didn't say he died there. I'm sure you agree.
no, I don't agree.
But that's what the
I don't
transcript
agree. Had died.
Correct.
78.
But when I'm
At
saying
the same time as the department was holding on to the figure of 36.
yes, I agree.
Yeah.
But I'm saying when on the transcript as we're talking, the prof didn't at any stage we didn't discuss the deaths that occurred at Ubuhle Benkosi. That's what I was saying.
Yes, I'm talking about. You agreed that it was criminal, the behavior of Ubuhle Benkosi, didn't you?
I said it, yes.
Yes. And you're aware that 78 people at bare minimum died. In fact, we found out later on that it was 108 by that time. But 78 people died. You were informed.
That's the number I was given by the
Yes.
ombuds at that time.
And did you then go to your department and say, what is going on that is causing these deaths?
It's a pity. I'm going to go back to that thing. That there were a flurry of meetings we're trying to get. What is happening? Where are the other patients? There were lots and lots of activities.
A lot of activity.
Yes.
But you say you didn't think it was unlawful. You didn't think that the deaths may be due to unlawful conduct.
At that time, it didn't occur to me. You see, the lawful...
Did you think that your officials were acting diligently, were performing their duties diligently?
When the deaths occurred?
Throughout this process, and certainly by
Yes.
November 2016, did you think that they were performing their duties diligently?
When the deaths occurred, the managers were the one who... That I can answer you properly. I'm sorry if I'm irritating you. I'm sorry if I'm
Dr.
irritating
Silvana,
you.
my difficulty is that I'm not getting an answer, and I'd be able to move on more quickly if I did. The question was, by November 2016, did you think that your officials were performing their duties diligently?
The implementers, no. I didn't think they were doing well. They were not doing well.
In
If the
November
project
2016, you did not think that they were performing diligently?
I should think of on top of my head, no.
And you didn't do anything about it? You didn't ask for regular updates on the deaths, did you?
But I say that the regular updates were given in the office of the MEC.
Yes,
That's
but
why I
you,
didn't
I know
personally.
you said that already, but you did not ask for regular updates.
I'm not too sure why I would have asked. Maybe now that you are saying it, I could have asked, but I
Why
didn't.
you would have asked? Because you were the head of department. And in November 2016, you signed and backdated licenses.
I've accepted that.
And in 2016, many people had died, and you knew that the number was at minimum 78, correct?
I was informed by the prof, yes.
What I would like to put to you, Dr. Salabano, is that you yourself were not performing your duties diligently.
It's your opinion, Council.
Diligently.
It's your opinion. Any better.
You could
I
not
did my
have done any
best.
better.
I'm saying yourselves, if you're in that situation, you didn't have done any better.
We can't be personal. You may not be personal at all.
Sorry, Justice. I withdraw.
The advocate has many clients. All she's doing is putting to you the
I
version. God would never have willed that 143 people die. Get there. I think just listen to the question and answer.